Hello, my name is Eric, and today we will be discussing the Furman versus Georgia case. Now, this is a pretty famous Supreme Court case, and then also considered a landmark in the United States Supreme Court. So, without further ado, let's get into the background. First of all, who is this Furman person? Now, he is known as William Henry Furman. In fact, the actual case title is known as William Henry Furman versus the state of Georgia. But anyways, so William Furman, in August of 1967 in Savannah, Georgia, he was attempting a home invasion. Now, the story goes that in the middle of the night, the homeowner got up and found Furman, and it made Furman scared, and he started to take off, and he dropped his gun, and the gun, once it hit the floor, shot off a bullet and ended up hitting the homeowner, which resulted in killing the homeowner. Now, this sentenced Furman to a death penalty. And in 1969, a year later from when the incident happened in 1968, the U.S. Supreme Court overrided his death penalty and was sentenced to some time in jail, mainly because based off of the 8th and 14th Amendments. And the 8th Amendment goes, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Which obviously that last bit, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted, would, in my opinion, probably mean the death penalty, is what I assume from that part. And the 14th Amendment goes, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the U.S. and of state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege of immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, and property without due process of law, nor deny to any person without its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So based off of those two amendments, the Supreme Court decided to have his death penalty become some time in jail, which is a pretty big thing because the death penalty has been part of the American Code of Justice since the European settlers arrived. So it's been, around definitely for some time, and even so in 1972, which is when the case happened. So fast forwarding to 1972, we get a case that revolves basically around his actions, or William Henry Furman, whichever you prefer. But regardless, there's a case that was about this incident and about the death penalty. And from the Furman versus Georgia case, the U.S. Supreme Court concluded that the death penalty was just too cruel and just too, almost to the point where it was unusual. So they got rid of it within that year, and all the death penalties within this year actually got sentenced to life in prison over the death penalties. So that's what happened. So basically, this really changed how the U.S. Supreme Court looked at the death penalty for a while. Also, a decrease in death penalties actually occurred, after this case. And, the death penalty wasn't really talked about a lot until 1976, until a case called Gregg versus Georgia came about, and basically made the U.S. Supreme Court be more, or accept the death penalty a little bit more. So, the bottom line is, if you had a loved one or someone that was really close to you How would you feel if someone got murdered, or if that person got murdered and they were only sentenced to 10 or 20 years in jail? How would you feel about that? Would you want them to have a lifetime in jail? Would you want them sentenced to a death penalty? How would you feel, and what would you want? Thank you.